what's poppin'? My name is Logan. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing another study with me. This week was my first official week of summer break, so all of the work that I'm doing in this video is not related to the classes I was taking previously, but for my own personal gain. This video is a combined video with 2 weeks worth of studying since it is summer break, and studying for classes that I don't technically have to take was proving to be sort of a challenge after the first few weeks for me. After it hit me that I don't really have to actually be taking any of these classes and I'm not really being graded at all, I found it really hard for me to focus, and I would find myself only studying for a couple minutes a day, an hour if I was lucky, compared to my usual concentration that I had during school. I do really enjoy studying, as you guys can see, and I like learning new things every single day. So whenever I take a day off to watch TV and lay around and be lazy and do absolutely nothing, I'd feel super depressed afterwards because I felt like I just wasted the whole entire day. But I know that we all need days like that every now and again. I was just finding myself taking way too many of those kinds of days. Luckily, I was eventually able to get my motivation back when it got closer to my EMT class because it finally hit me that I'm going to have to go back into school mode, and I honestly really miss being at school because I love having a productive mindset and knowing that I'm getting things done. It was really hard for me to emotionally not be in school, and I feel like I put a lot of my self-worth into my grades, which is not healthy at all. I really need to make sure that I have a good balance of downtime, social time, and time to focus on my studies. Trying to figure these things out during the summer will hopefully make my transition back to school a little smoother, and I'll have better coping and studying skills overall. With my future classes in mind and the fact that I'm changing my major to health science, I decided to choose classes that would help me further my knowledge in those subjects. That's why I spent a decent amount of time on self-studying chemistry as well as auditing a free online Harvard course on bioethics, the law, medicine, and ethics of reproductive technologies and genetics. Before classes start again, I also plan to take a look at biology as well as pre-calculus so I have a small understanding before I go into the class so I'm not walking in blind. But I didn't want to overload myself too much since I will be starting my EMT program really soon. Throughout the week, I was struggling a little bit on chemistry with the subject of oxidation reactions, so I took to YouTube to help me, and the homie Tyler Dewitt really came in clutch. I remember in high school chemistry watching a few of his videos, but my knowledge from then did not retain. I do really enjoy the Khan Academy chemistry class, and I think that it's an amazing free resource, but my only judgment is that it's sometimes hard to follow the videos, and not having a teacher that you can ask for help kind of sucks. But that's a problem that comes with online classes in general, and it's not limited to Khan Academy. For an example of how I was struggling, I was able to get through half of the unit on chemical reactions and stoichiometry, but I got super stuck at the end of the unit, like 80% through, when they started talking about different types of chemical reactions. I felt like it didn't really flow with the other lessons that we were being taught, and I didn't feel like I had a good introduction to it. This led to me having to search for other resources trying to explain what was going on, and I ended up taking a bit of a break from chemistry for a while since I was getting really frustrated. Instead of staying on the really confusing unit that I was just going to get more frustrated by learning, I decided to move on to the next unit, which was on the electronic structure of atoms, which is pretty much explaining a lot of what we already knew in more detail. This unit was a lot easier for me to understand since we already discussed it, and I felt like it helped me get back into chemistry after having that hard time. By the time that I'm filming this voiceover, I have gotten through 4 lessons out of 7 in my bioethics class. Thanks to this class, I feel like I have such a better understanding of genetic materials and the legal aspects surrounding them. I feel like I've always kind of known about buying and selling reproductive materials, as well as surrogacy services, but I feel like I never thought too much about them since they didn't really pertain to me. There's so many different laws surrounding them that can be enforced or unenforced based on the smallest aspects of a specific situation, and I feel like this class really makes me question my own values and morals regarding what's wrong and what's right in various circumstances. This class also helps me draw distinctions between regulating and prohibiting, as well as how important having a formal contract as well as a medical professional can be in reproductive technology cases. I've also learned the differences between traditional and gestational surrogacy, sperm and egg selling, anonymous versus known donations of genetic material, and wrongful birth versus wrongful life versus wrongful pregnancy. I highly recommend this class to anybody interested in any of the things that I just mentioned before, or anyone just interested in the medical field or the law behind it. There's so many different parts of this course where students have agreed or disagreed on certain subjects, and I think it's really cool to see that there's not one incredibly favored over another in most cases. During summer break, I was really trying to catch up on my reading since I've been very on again, off again with it. And in these clips, I'm reading a book called Balzac and the Little Chinese Seamstress, and it's a really quick, simple read with no huge plot. And I really enjoyed reading the book, but I was not a huge fan of the ending. It was not a huge letdown compared to a book I had previously read called Little Bee, which I was so upset with the ending of that book, and it gave me way too much hope that it was going to be good. I've heard various controversial opinions on the ending of it, and I'm glad to know that I'm not the only one who is dissatisfied with it. I feel like the whole story was leading to a certain point that never even happened. Instead, I felt like it just led to a big spiral downwards where so many random events happened in a very short period of time, and it clashed with the rest of the story before dropping off out of literally nowhere. I personally would not recommend this book at all. Do not read Little Bee, guys, because I think it is a big waste of time, and I've heard that it's actually a very popular book club book, so if you're into that kind of stuff, you may come across it. But overall, I found the ending of Little Bee way more upsetting than the ending of The Little Seamstress since the plot was way more hyped up. It's like watching a slice of life anime versus watching an action anime. If both endings are dissatisfying, it's not like the slice of life anime had a huge plot that it was heading towards compared to the action one. I feel like the better the potential of the plot, the bigger the letdown is when it sucks. I feel like Little Bee had so much potential to be an amazing book, and there are aspects of the book that I really did enjoy, but I was just so upset with the ending, guys. You don't understand. If you read it, you'll know. Along with catching up on my reading, I was also trying to browse various online classes to entertain myself before the next semester started. I tried checking out some classes on Chinese history, and as you can see in my video, I spent about an hour looking at a class on Buddhism, but none of them really called out to me the way that bioethics did. I found that I personally really enjoy lecture formats for pre-recorded online classes, and I feel like the other classes had way too much article reading, and that was not really what I was looking for. I think that when it comes to my own personal learning, I'm more of a podcast, YouTube, or lecture type of person. I will find myself most engaged when somebody is just talking about the subject and I get to hear their knowledge rather than me participating in any sort of activity or reading an article. It's not like I don't want to participate, question my values, or rack my brain, but I'm mostly doing these classes for my own personal enjoyment and not for a grade, so I'm not going to force myself to listen or participate in a class that I'm not very interested in doing on my own free time. Because when I do like the class, I will take notes, as you can see in my bioethics class, and I do enjoy talking to my friends about the content that I learn to see what their opinions on the subject are as well. Sorry guys, that last note there sounded really aggressive, but I was just running out of breath. I always tend to talk so fast when I'm recording voiceovers, and then I forget that I might sound angry or I just speed up random parts. I feel like I didn't have this problem when I first started doing voiceovers, but that's also because I originally planned on shooting ASMR type videos where I was talking really slow. But hey, for this week, I managed to study 11 hours and 36 minutes, which is actually really sad for a whole 2 weeks, but hey, it's summer break. I was able to learn so much in both my chemistry and bioethics class, as well as catch up on some of my reading. I love you all so much and hope to see you guys in the next video.